Sports.
Hey, Carmichael Dave.
Hey, Jason Ross.
Question for you.
Answer for you.
So we just had Hudson call in. We've had others on YouTube and in the text line suggest or talk about Kuzma, which I think if you got someone like him, he probably does go into the starting lineup and you shuffle things around.
Great call from Hudson, by the way.
Yeah, so I think that's a route the Kings can go. I think everybody would agree that they're probably need a boost in the front court. Now, what if the boost is a different plan and it's a bench guy? Which might be also part, I've seen people talk about Isaiah Stewart, Sadiq Bey, Doug McDermott. I don't know, just different names out there.
Yeah.
Because I think they need a little bit more there. But if it's someone like Trey Lyles in a sense that will help you, but it's off the bench, does it help you? If that makes sense. Like if you're still kind of guard heavy and starting lineup a little unbalanced. Yeah, because I don't know that they're definitely getting a starter if they look to make a move.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. Obviously we're talking about they lack size down low.
Yeah.
They lack defense down low.
Because literally they could get another big man. Let's just say someone like Alex Len. It's like, yeah, they got more, but
right, but
you're not playing like they had JaVale McGee and Alex Len. And at one point you're like, you're just going to play one of them as a backup. Or they played Lyles and played smaller anyway.
I think that might end up being the move. And kind of like what we talked about, if we look at the history of Monte McNair in that front office, it's all right, let's inch forward a little bit. Yeah. Okay, we got a little bit better here. Now we're going to get a little bit more better. We still have all our draft capital with the exception of the Herder pick. We still have movable pieces.
Yeah, you don't have to move Herder now.
No,
you don't even have to move Herder.
No, you don't. But in Herder and those picks, you've got some, you have salary plus, things you can move around that are valuable. And to be honest, I think this is also very fair. They're never going to say this, but they're probably thinking in that front office, look, we're not winning a title this year. So what's wrong with let's take a look and see how this team does. Sometimes things that you think are weaknesses aren't weaknesses. Yeah. Once they all play together, they figure it out. Oh, you know what? Actually, that's not as bad as I thought. And sometimes things you don't expect to be strengths become strength. By the way, to be fair, sometimes things you don't think are going to be weaknesses end up being a weakness. Right. And you see how it all plays out. And then you go, okay, why would we want to spend all our capital putting this team together when, oh, by the way, there might be a problem that we need the tools to fix down the road, and you want to wait until you have those tools to fix it.
Yeah, and I think, the thought of, hey, we're not going to win a title this year, that also needs to be fluid. And my point being, so 2 years ago when they kind of snuck up and all of a sudden we're a 3 seed, well, a lot of times the champions or the teams that get to the finals are 3, 2, or 1 seed. Doesn't mean that's given to you, but the Kings were in a position where a lot of things were favorable for them, and I don't know that I thought they could have won a title, but if everything kept going right, why couldn't they have been? OKC last year was not a playoff team the year before.
Right.
And then they were the 1 seed, and if they felt like, hey, we're not a championship team this year, again, I like the Caruso move. I would have tried to have done that during the year last year because it's like, hey, you're the 1 seed. Take advantage of where you are right now and see if you can fast track this and sneak one out when maybe you're ahead of your schedule. So I think that's something that needs to be fluid, where if this year goes even better than you think, hey, then why can't it be a kind of run type of year? So I think that needs to be something that's fluid.
Well, to your point, OKC, and this is where we always talk about not knowing what we don't know. OKC might have gone after Alex Caruso last year, and they couldn't get him, or the price was too high. They just sat and waited, Sam Presti, and then finally got their guy. There might be some of those folks that Monty's looking at right now.
Yeah.
The price a little too high, or they can't get him, but maybe the trade deadline, maybe next year, that's when the bargain shop. Yeah, what's the old saying? And I don't think this is an old saying. I think I'm about to make up a saying right now. Hold on. You don't want the store to announce once in a lifetime bargains the day you don't have any cash in your pocket.
Right. Perfect saying.
Perfect
saying. Put that on a shirt.
And maybe that's what. Yeah, put on a shirt. Maybe that's what they're doing. They're making sure that they've got money for when the blue light special hits.
Yeah.
And they've still got assets.
Right. And you're right about Chicago in that sense. Maybe those players weren't available or the asking price was too much because they were trying to get in as a playing team.
Yep.
And so worried about that. Now they're just like, hey, take our guys. Like they're rebooting.
We're good, yeah.
But they were going for it to get in and see if we could do something. They got in, and not much happened.
And it's not just take our guys. When you look at the return they got for Caruso, like you mentioned earlier, and DeRozan, effectively, they got Duarte and Giddey, and then not really even that much draft help at all.
No.
That is what does Monty always talk about? A distressed team.
Right.
That's a distressed team that's trying to do things. And by the way, maybe next year that distressed team, if the owner can, put down his whatever he's on, maybe that distressed team is Phoenix.
Yeah.
And maybe that's that next player.
Absolutely.
And maybe you don't have to spend the toughest thing in the world for undisciplined people. We'll go back to the money in the store thing. The toughest thing for undisciplined people to do is to keep the money in their pocket and walk out of the store with nothing and wait for the stock to restock.
Right.
And that may just end up being what's going on right now. Get a lot of questions today, and I probably about 9 of them. So, and they all center around Walker Kessler. And the idea, I guess, on that would be acquire Walker Kessler. The assumption would be to start him at the 5 and put Sabonis in the 4. I love Walker Kessler. I think Kessler is already a fantastic. He's not a superstar, but he's a guy that's going to get you, 12 points, 10 boards, and 3 blocks a game and play tremendous defense. He's a shot alterer. I think at this point, Kessler is not the guy you'd acquire to move Sabonis to the 4. They just shoot way too much of the same dirt. You're definitely getting your defensive anchor, but it's going to bog down your offense, and they're going to steal rebounds from each other. You're not going to get the best of Walker Kessler because of Sabonis, and he's going to take away some of Sabonis's Sabonising, if you will.
Right.
If we were going to do something like that, I still think a guy like Brook Lopez, and I'm not saying Karl Anthony Towns. What I'm saying is a Brook Lopez, Karl Anthony Towns type that they're big and they can stretch. That's odds are who you're playing with Domantas Sabonis. I'd love to see if they could get. I'd really love to see if they could get Brook Lopez. I think a Fox, DeRozan, Murray, Sabonis, Brook Lopez starting 5, and you have Malik Monk as your 6th man along with the rest of that. I'd really love to see what a team like that can do, considering Lopez is deadly from 3 and it's going to give you 2.5 blocks a game.
Yeah,
you've now. And you talk about Lopez's age. I was thinking a lot about that over the weekend. I haven't seen the numbers, but I guarantee you Lopez probably runs 20 miles less a season than Domantas Sabonis because he's playing 3/4 court. He's in the paint on defense. He's outside the arc on offense. He's running 3/4 of court each time. So Monty's got a lot of options that we can throw out and explore.
Yeah, I just don't think they want to put Domantas at the 4.
You might be right.
And maybe it's as much of a concern with him defensively guarding some 4s as well as kind of limiting his superpowers as the 5. I don't know. I just don't see them doing that.
Maybe that's where you look at a lot of people throw out Bobby Portis's name.
Yeah.
You just don't feel like these guys are necessarily. You're talking about a championship caliber team in Milwaukee, and those are 2 massive pieces to that. They're not Giannis, but they're pretty big pieces.
Yeah, can you find some of these other things like the Sixers getting all that assets coming in? They cut a guy like Paul Reed, who served as a backup to him.
Yep.
Like that's a name I think that should be talked about. Now, how often do they use him? But I just feel like, to me, the Kings need a few more 6, 8 to 7 foot guys.
And to your point about a guy like Paul Reed, who doesn't peel the paint off the walls necessarily, but what they need to be able to do is be switchable. Let's be honest. Being smaller down low, I'm not doing an endorsement here. Being smaller down low, that's not an issue against a lot of teams.
Right.
There's a lot of teams that are built the same way or even smaller. You just want to have the ability that when you are facing a team that's big, Minnesota, when you go up against Timberwolves, you want to have the ability to do something to adjust those minutes. So, hey, maybe your new 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" guy, there's some games he's coming off the bench 7th, 8th, playing 15 minutes. There's other games he's the first guy off the bench or second guy off the bench, and he's playing 25 minutes a game. You want that arrow in your quiver, I guess.
Yeah, and we talked about when we talked to Chuck Swirsky earlier, the Bulls announced, he's like, look, they were playing Caruso at 4 defensively. He was guarding just bigger guys. And so, that's what we're hearing. Someone like Devin Carter, when healthy, can guard multiple positions. You want people that can do that more than not. But I still think there's some defensive concerns up in the front for the Kings.
We got a break here. I'm just kind of running into but I'm gonna throw out a name I haven't heard talked about yet.
Okay.
This is a guy that would fit into the mid-level exception they have. Okay. He's mid-20s, 6'10", 235-ish. And I'll just give you his per 36 numbers. He averaged, I don't know, around 24 minutes. But as a backup big, somebody to help out, this guy per 36 averages 20 points, 12 boards, a little over a block a game on 58% shooting. Not that great from the free throw line, 71%, but he's somebody that would fit in the MLE. He's 25 years old, 20 points, 12 boards per 36. And his overall averages last year, for example, a little over 13 points, 8 boards, just under a block a game. Would that interest you?
I think I know who this is. Do we know this player?
We do.
Intimately here in Sacramento? Honestly, that name was mentioned the other day to me, and they said that fit-wise right now,
yeah.
I mean, honestly, right now,
yeah,
would the fit be bad?
Let's put it this way.
It wouldn't be popular.
It wouldn't be popular, but it would be a lot better than it was.
And different expectations, right?
Much different expectations.
Are you going to say who it is?
I was kind of waiting for you.
I'll have you say it.
When we come back, we'll I'm looking at the wrong team.
Are you going to torture them?
Not torture.